WHKT-AM in Norfolk, Virginia. And I assume that's the way you say it, right? 1650 AM in Norfolk, Virginia. I hope that's the way you say it. If I lived there, I would not like people to call it Norfolk. Right? Anyway, if you're from the area, somebody will call me from there. Also, KBRC-AM in Mount Vernon, Washington, 1430 AM. Welcome to the network. Now you'll be sorry. Last night, KABC in Los Angeles. Tonight, YouTube. So, welcome. Good luck. Boots on the ground in Syria. Okay, that is the refrain beginning to get signaled from the United States. It looks as though our president...
Could you have to stop?
Who was
It's all you do all day long.
The idea of war in Iraq or Syria is now seemingly changing his mind. It's because of ISIS. But you have to consider the soup in Syria for you to understand how incredibly dangerous this is. And I do agree, we may have to have boots on the ground in Syria if we're going to have any real effect. But you've got Assad, right?
For anyone who has developed a brain or spinal tumor after shots, this is extreme.
I certainly hope so. Well, you're in a position to answer that more than I am. I hope it is.
Well, you know, I hope it is. I believe it is. I practice it. This is full moon, as a matter of fact, tonight. And so before I came home to come and talk to you, I participated in full moon ritual.
So does my neighbor. Solstice, all that shit. It's like the moon. You guys worship the moon. The moon is fucking. The moon is shit. It just causes lunacy.
Good afternoon, good morning. Whatever the case is, wherever you are, it doesn't matter. Welcome to Open Line tonight. We're going to have some fun. The rules of this program are no bad language. Well, both of them, above all, really. I want to take a moment because it's very, very important. If you have a smartphone,
cleaning yourself,
it doesn't matter
you're
what
making
kind,
me itch in my eyes.
Apple, Android. I'm not so sure about BlackBerry. Somebody should call the BlackBerry so I can find out. It's so easy to call us and sound like $1 million. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you use Skype on a smartphone, oh my goodness, you really, really, really sound good. You sound like you're right here in the studio. And so what you say carries more authority when you say it. So, here's how you do it. Put Skype in your smartphone. You just go to the store and get Skype. And then once you get it, it is this simple. You go to add contact, not to where you dial a number, but to add a contact, little plus sign, Skype. And you add me. And how do you do that? If you're in North America, or Canada, you add me by putting in MITD51. That's Midnight in the Desert, MITD. It's not case sensitive. 51. And then I'll be in your contact list, and you can press that and dial me. Free. Now, worldwide, it works the same way. The difference is, if you're outside of North America, you put in MITD55. Again, you go to add a contact, that's a little plus sign in Skype, and put in MITD55. And I'll be in your contact list, press it, and away we go. All right, before we get started, this is going to be a crazy show tonight. This is very serious news, I think. North Korea says it is all set for an all-out war against South Korea. beginning at 5:30 p.m. That'll be 2:30 here in the morning, West Coast. This is a deadline that this idiot in North Korea has set for the South Koreans to stop broadcasting propaganda. They've got all these speakers set up, broadcasting all the propaganda products.
Yes, they do.
Even if their stock took a giant hit today, by the way. So
Yeah, I saw that. They still make good stuff. I wanted to talk to you briefly. One of the most fascinating subjects I've come across in my life is Area 50. I can't read enough about it. And I heard you talking on the show about a caller that you had years ago who flew an airplane. And then I found it on YouTube and I listened to that.
That's right.
I got to say, I think it's real.
Oh, me too.
I listened to that thing over and over, and I really think the guy did it. Now, my question is, did you ever hear anything about that guy?
No, and I don't like losing listeners that way either. I really don't.
No.
I mean, I think he probably went down in flames, more or less.
Well, yeah, the government would say that somebody flew a plane into Area 51.
Look here, I live right next to Area 51. I can tell you the signs are very clear. Deadly force is authorized, and they're not kidding. They will use it.
Mm-hmm. One more quick thing. Well, actually, two quick things. One, are you ever going to do a show on Area 51?
I'm sure there's no question about it. I will.
It sounds like John C. Riley.
Question, and I'll let you go, is how close have you actually gotten to Area 51? Like, have you gotten to the mailbox and you see on TV
Yes.
where you can go?
Yes.
And what did you see when you went there?
The mailbox.
But what did you see when you looked out past that?
Well, when you're in Nevada, you see a lot. I mean, your line of sight is probably 40 miles to 50 miles to the mountains, So, no saucers, nothing like that. Saw the mailbox. Thought about going further and didn't. That sign is written.
Candle melted very quickly, went down into the skull, which was made of plastic, and that melted very quickly.
Further evidence,
I woke up.
Further evidence, sir, the deal was consummated.
Yeah, and I was awakened by my parents. The room was filled with black smoke from the melting plastic.
There you have it.
At some point, I passed out.
I understand.
So,
sounds serious.
Yeah, that was my experience.
So, when you get down to the big fire, well, how old are you now?
I'm 41 now. I was probably around 17 at that time.
I see. So let's see, another 30 or 40 years easily is yours, maybe even 50. And then, well,
no, actually, I have kidney disease now, about 19% kidney function. So I'm approaching end of life.
Another 10, maybe 20 years, and then. Well, okay. Listen, I wish there was a way you could, when you meet your, what would be the right word? Normally you would say maker, but I guess your business partner.
He's fucked up.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Very
fucked up, Bart.
Very straightforward. There you have it.
Art. I call him
He got
Bart.
his deal. I told you I told you. So the deal line, if you made a deal with the devil, it's area code 575-208-7787.
We're waiting for Diddy to call in.
Let's go here on the phone and say hello there. Hello? Yes, hey.
From Lake Charles.
Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm just fine.
I've been on hold, so I haven't been able to be hearing the show. I've had my radio off. But
Well, you should be able to hear it on hold.
no, there was nothing on hold.
Really?
Yeah, nothing.
No, wait a minute. I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to count to 4. You tell me if you hear me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you hear that?
Nothing.
I beg pardon?
Nothing.
You did or didn't?
I did not hear anything. It's just silent.
Oh, man, that's not cool. That's not cool. You're supposed to be getting program audio when you're on hold.
Sure was. There's none at all.
Okay. That's thank you for informing me.
Yeah.
I'll ask the next caller as well. What can I do for you?
Hey, I just wanted to first of all Well, welcome back. And I wanted to thank your family for allowing you to come back. I'm sure that's a sacrifice on all your parts.
Well, you're right. It is. It is. And I want to thank my family for it too. They miss me, and doing a radio program takes more than you think it does. People think, 3 hours. Come on, anybody can do that. No, it takes preparation. It takes a lot.
Well, we thank them because we get to reap the benefits of having you.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. I wanted to tell you about an experience that happened years ago. We saw a craft, per se, in my parents' backyard. This was probably 20 years ago. In the middle of the night, my sister had gotten up from her room and went through their living room, going to the kitchen, and they had a huge plate glass window, and she sees this disc shape seemingly about 2 foot in diameter, circular, that seems to be floating. I don't know how much time you have.
Well, not a lot. I've got to get to it. So, okay, a disc, as in flying saucer.
Seemingly.
Yes,
okay. Seeming to be floating and hovering, going up and down a little bit. Got a green light, and it's foggy.
Miss Kitty, her new favorite thing is to lay on me, because she loves me so much. Because I'm fat and warm, and she's skinny and cold.
My parents got up, they watched, tried to take pictures, we looked at it. My grandfather, who lived about 15 minutes away, my dad called and said, "You've got to come see this." We drove over, and then it turned into, "What do you do? Now we're seeing this. What do we do with this?" My grandfather had some friends that worked at the sheriff's department, and he decided that we needed to call the law. So they came out and got out there with the bullhorn and talked to it.
So they're yelling up at a flying saucer with a bullhorn?
Please state your business.
Wait a minute. Okay, stop. You're telling me the cops came out with a bullhorn. They're yelling at the saucer to please state your business, or what?
I know.
They just wanted to know what's going on. Shine lights on it. Let me fast forward because I know you're short on time, all the way to the end.
Did they draw their guns?
No guns were drawn, but by the end, Wildlife and Fisheries was dispatched to remove their mosquito trap that they had placed on my parents' property without permission.
You're telling me that's what it was?
That's what it turned out to be.
Oh, good Lord.
But everybody was up all night long, and it was a fun night.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. All right, thank you very much for the call. And the story that I thought went somewhere, can you imagine? Come down now, or we're going to shoot. I made a deal with the devil line. You're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
It's Lewis from...
Well, you don't have to say where you're from, Lewis. You did make a deal with the devil, right?
Did make a deal with the devil when I was younger. When I was around 21, I'm kind of embarrassed, but
that's all right.
I wanted a lot of sex with women.
How's it going?
It went very well. I had sex.
Lots and lots
of women.
Really?
Lots of it.
You made this deal at what age now?
I was 21 years old, Art.
21?
I'm embarrassed to say.
No, it's all right. I understand. Sex is a very strong, I guess compulsion would be the right word. And so you basically said, look, you give me all the women or whatever women I want, and I will give you my soul. Yeah.
If they really did that, they're fucked up. If they tied their dogs to balloons, that's fucked up.
And I ended up going to the seedy Gothic club out in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California, and I met this really hot chick. She claimed to be a vampire, so I mean, who doesn't want to take a vampire home, right? And
Not me.
when she was at my place,
Now remember, you got to keep your language clear here.
yes, sir, of course. I took her home, and she pulled out a vial of blood, and she wanted me to drink some with her. So yeah, that's what I thought. And I said I'd rather drink your blood, and she obliged, and she cut her wrist a little bit. And she let me suck from her wrist, and then she wanted to suck from mine, and I I'd never done that before. I was young and didn't really know what to do, but I ended up going through with it, and just as things kept going.
How old are you now?
I'm 38.
38.
I'm old.
38.
Yes, I'm old now. So
Still getting women? Are you still getting women?
I mean, surprisingly, yes. They just keep throwing themselves at me. It never stops.
I get it.
It's
Sounds good.
So I mean, for me, the pact to the devil was the best thing I ever did in life.
I wonder how many women. I mean, I'm after only a ballpark figure here, but how many women since you made the pact do you think you had? Just a guess.
Probably. I know it's been over 100.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been over 100, and the only thing that ever went wrong was just a quick bout of chlamydia, but that got taken care of real quick.
And listen to me. A quick bout of chlamydia is going to be nothing compared to what you're headed for.
Yeah, well,
it's not so quick, trust me. Yeah, right. So this is going to be our night, huh? People who have made a deal with the devil. Area code 575-208-7787. Listen, let's go make that look like a walk in the park. Hello there, Skype James, I believe it is.
I don't even know how to follow that up.
I don't know how to follow it either. Back away from your mic a little. You're too loud.
No problem.
There you go.
Well, Art, it's really good to have you back on.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
I grew up listening to you late night. At 36 now, and I've been listening to you ever since I heard you first on the radio back in my teens.
You know what's going to happen to that guy? He's going to get down there, and they're all going to be down there waiting for him, and every single one of them is going to be diseased.
It's absolutely hysterical. It's a great line for tonight, I think.
It is. And listen, my devil line is ringing off the hook.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
One quick question. The audio, I have to say, you and Keith have done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
It's better than anybody else is doing via radio or online, and it just sounds great. So my question along those lines is, what type of headset are you using?
It is a German headset. I really shouldn't go beyond that, but I use a headset mic. That way I can move around in here, and I'm always the same distance from the mic, so it doesn't sound weird.
Well, it sounds great. Again, we're just glad to have you back on the air.
All right. Well, thank you.
I do have one quick thing though. I did a little road project out there close to close to the Roswell. Roswell's closer to the incident was actually closer to a city called Corona than it is to actually Roswell.
Did you bring back any souvenirs?
I went out there, and it has got to be about the calmest place I've ever been. There's nobody for miles around. The wind blows, and that's about it. And it's a very calm, soothing, relaxing place where you can see the stars.
No, even the birds don't chirp.
No, actually, you don't hear birds. You don't hear birds.
That's because it's really completely dead. Dead zone.
That is a little true.
Damn dead zones at sea, and down there, I'm sure they got one on land.
That's true.
All right, brother.
Appreciate your time, and that you're back on radio. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And, whoever it was couldn't hold. We had yet another I made a deal with the devil caller, and these are serious, really serious. As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, it doesn't mean that you have to meet with a horn. It doesn't mean that you have to actually sign a paper. It doesn't work that way at all. In fact, it's much more of a subtle thing, as you've been hearing from these callers. In your own mind, you can do it. You can say, "Look, I want this. I want all these women. I want all this money. Whatever it is you're going to make the deal for," and you can seal that deal in your own mind. And trust me when I say it is irrevocable. So, if you made a deal for women, you might as well,
Look at right there. There's
go
a face
all out, as it were.
appearing in that log, screaming.
I don't know about that last one.
See that?
Too many TV shows. Hello there, you're on the air.
Hey, hi, this is Tom from Florida, and it's Benny Roswell's, and it's a great honor to speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, first I wanted to state a comment and then give you an experience I had.
The eye, mouth, the shut, and the
comment I
eye, the
have
nose,
is,
and the
it
mouth.
goes back to your question of, like, if there are time travelers in
Chin.
the future, where are the time travelers?
It's a good one.
Well, I've often thought, I've heard the theory about all these UFOs that have been popping up around the world. I strongly believe that it's a very good possibility that could very well be us in the future visiting the past in certain times, and even experiences people have with these gray aliens. And they also experience humanoids with the gray aliens. It's very possible that
Yeah, I don't think it's us because if they would fuck with the timeline too much.
Biological robots that are like the assistants.
Well, you know what I think? Here's what I think. Right now, we're going through a period of intermarriage in America, in the world. I mean, you see people married to, my wife is Filipino. You see people married to Mexicans, people from South America, Europeans married to Asians. We're getting this great mix that's going on. And it's accelerating. It's going faster and faster and faster. And I think that eventually we'll all be grays.
Yeah, that's, and there could be, I'm just going back to the whole, like, people experience.
No, we're not gonna all be gray. We're all gonna be goobacks. Watch South Park.
Somewhat.
It's gonna be a weird brown,
Asian
pink
eyes.
color.
Think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we continue intermarrying the way we're doing, we will be grays with somewhat Asian eyes. And I'll leave that thought.
Yeah, and the atmosphere of the Earth could change by then. That yeah, I mean that's evolution.
That's evolution, is right.
Yeah. The experience I had with the house I lived in when I was a teenager up in New York, I believe possibly had paranormal activity in it. The reason why I say that is I remember one morning I was sleeping in my bed, and my dad he'd getting up to go to work and everything. Normally he'd come in before he'd leave to say goodbye to me. Well, I was laying there and I heard him going in from out of his room to the kitchen and all that.
Right.
And the door, like I had my eyes closed, it seemed like the door to my room opened, because you know how you can sometimes see even with your eyes closed, you can see the room brighten up a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, I got that sensation. I looked over at the door and I saw a shadowy figure of a man who I thought was my dad. I didn't really see features of him. And it approached my bed, and here I was waiting for my dad to lean over and say something to me, and it was just like it was never there to begin with.
Shadow.
What's weird about that?
Shadow.
And what's weird about that is I remember we went away for the summer one year, and we had our neighbors watching over the house.
Did you
Look
go
at
under
this
the covers?
log here.
No,
Right here.
What kind of kid
That's
are
a
you? If
face.
you get a shadow person in front of you or an unknown being, you always go under the covers.
And when you spend
I
so
thought it
much
was my
time
dad.
alone,
I wasn't
years
scared.
alone,
I expected it to be my dad, but it
you
wasn't. It was like he was
you
there.
realize that
Alright.
the
Anyway,
physical things are
we went away
shit.
for the summer.
You realize
and when we got
everything
back,
that
the
the
neighbors,
world makes you
they wanted
think
to tell
is
us
worth
something,
something
and their
isn't,
daughter,
and that
I
there's
remember her
something
pointing
more
their
after
parents
here.
her parents said,
Miss
"Tell
Kitty,
us
what
you
was
saw."
that above your head
And she
just now?
pointed up at my
Get
bedroom
over here,
window. It happened
bitch.
to be my window of our house. And said, "I saw an angel looking out at me."
An angel, huh?
And and then if you think about it, what would how would a little kid, experience describe something like that? You know what I mean? It just gave me chills. And there were other little things that happened. It wasn't.
Well, that one's not so bad. An angel is good. Unlike when I go to this line and I meet somebody who has made a deal with the devil. Turn your device down, double dealer. Turn it down.
I'm really sorry about that, Mr. Bell. I'm in the car. I'm actually driving.
Okay.
For I will breathe fire,
driving, right?
and it will burn.
It's an absolute honor to talk to you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
And a couple of days ago, you had.
Wait a minute. Have you? Hold on.
And
Hold on. I'm not going to let you go on. You got to listen to me. Have you made a deal with the devil? No. I'm leaving the line. They won't pause to talk. He was trying to get a story in. Obviously, it wasn't the deal that I'm looking for. On Skype, I've got Matt. Hello.
Oh, Art Uber Roswell's New Orleans.
Thank you. How's New Orleans?
I want to tell you about 10 years ago this week, I was listening to you as Hurricane Katrina approached. I believe you were talking to a friend of yours that worked at a Lake Charles station.
Right.
That you hunted tornadoes with.
Yeah, that was
just
with Lake.
Exactly. Something I relate very much to the storm. Just hearing you, I guess probably a few hours before the storm hit, but it's kind of funny that Danny's kicking up out in the Atlantic right now, almost 10 years to the date when Katrina.
Currently Category 3, but nothing to be
Yeah,
concerned
because
about.
they're all fucking man-made geostorms.
And dump a little bit of good rain on Puerto Rico, and that'll be about it.
Yes. Well, that would be a great outcome for
Who the
everybody.
hell's talking on damn Discord?
I wanted to know if you were going to have possibly Michio Kaku on in the future, one of my favorite guests you've ever had.
Oh, yes. Yes, we have a great lineup of guests
Chico
coming, but,
Mukataki?
I really can't talk about the guests coming because of reasons that I'm sure you understand.
Sure, and I was just curious. I've always been a real big fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I know he's never been on your show. And I was wondering, is there a reason for that, or maybe
yes, I have plans. Yes, but I can't. I can't tell you when, but yes, he's coming.
Well, sure. Great to have you back on, Art, and thanks for taking my call.
Right, thank you for making it. And again, if you have made a deal with the devil, then, and while I appreciate your well wishes and everything, this is only if you made a deal with the devil. Otherwise, do not call this number. I mean, who knows?
I mean, he's just started his show and he's already warning people.
Right now. And if he is, and he knows you you're trying to call that line, he might assume you're a candidate.
Top 3 jackets from Temu for your fall and winter wardrobe.
For
First,
the
this chic
devil.
bomber jacket for just $2.08.
The deal of the devil's lifetime.
The color adds a nice little pop.
Shut your ass up.
I'd put you off a little bit. So, if you made a deal with the devil, it's area code 575-208-7787. Special number 575-208-7787. But only if you made a deal with the devil. That's all. All right, let's go to, I don't know, let's go up here and say hi, you're on the air.
Hey, Art.
Hey.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Hey.
So I want to confirm that while you're on hold, you're definitely not getting any audio from the show. So that's probably why you got to.
Art Bell, pilot, flies into Area 51.
Art Bell, pilot, flies into Area 51.
Again, let me tell you, Art, answer the wild card line. My boyfriend is in a small plane north of Las Vegas, ready to fly into Area 51. He's been trying to call you by cell phone. And here he is. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello there. Is this Art Bell?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah, my name, I won't give you my last name.
Okay, wait a minute, sir. Hold on. The fax is signed by somebody named who? Jill, that is correct. So you are the one.
That's my girlfriend.
Yes, sir. Where are you?
Well, I'm up here from Fort Worth in my little airplane. It's a long sea I built myself. It's a Bird 10 design with the forward canard. I'm not sure if you know the kind. It's an experimental aircraft.
You know, I'm not.
Right, that's not anymore.
No, tell me about it. What kind of airplane is it?
Well, it's a long easy. It's got 120 horsepower like homing in it, but we had a board stroke that takes it up a little bit. It usually flies around 140, 160 at the needed airspeed. I'm right now at 7,000 feet. You know what this place called Indian Springs is?
Indian Springs, yes.
Yeah. Well, I've been flying now for about 45, 49 minutes here between Beatty, is that what you call it, and Indian Springs. And I figure I'll just go on up here and try to get into this Area 51. I'm right south of this Nevada test site, or Dallas Air Force Base.
Listen,
I'm right outside this restricted zone.
listen to me. When you fly into that zone,
Yeah.
they are going to either force you down or shoot you down. Don't you know that?
Well, you know, I've been in a lot of Air Force bases, and I've been in the Air Force for many years. I'm an ex-Air Force, but I'm just going to tell you that, you know, as American citizens, we have the right to know what's up there in this Area 51. And I've been listening to people that talk about this. Hold on here, I'm making a turn.
I mean,
This thing here. And I'm going to go on up there and see what's going on.
what makes you
And I
think we
just
have
wanna
the
know
right
that you
as American citizens to know what's in Area 51?
How long do you estimate it's going to be?
I don't think we should know. It ain't our business. Our fucking whole reality would change if we knew the truth. I mean, we already know the truth. I know the truth. Our reality changed years ago. But I think the same since I found out the truth. Very lost all that childhood, all that wonder, all that innocence.
A lot of desert, yes.
Gone.
You're liable to get yourself killed.
I'm sorry to you have to speak so loud. I cranked this engine all the way up here.
I said you're liable to get yourself killed.
Well, we'll get up there in a few minutes here. We're just going to see what's going to happen because this is I've got Red Cross data on this baby, and I got hospital on it, see? And maybe they're going to think that I'm on some kind of a mercy flight and I'm just off course. And I've got the radio cut off so you can have radio failure, don't you know? And so I'm going to hold this thing steady here about around 65, 68, 100 feet.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing
I'm at the bottom of this. I'm a American. My family has been American for years, and I want to get down in here and I want to find out what's happening.
All right, then why are you doing it at night?
Because that's the best way to get in here.
But even if you manage to overfly the area, what
I'm in the restricted zone. I just entered the restricted zone. I see a bunch of lights out there. It's like some kind of a searchlight coming on.
You're in the restricted zone now?
I just crossed that restricted zone. I'm going to drop this thing down.
I'm telling you, you're going to get shot down.
Hold on here now. I got my pressure suit on. I don't really need one of this kind of aircraft. It's not like a jet, but it helps. But when I make the tight turns here, and I'm going to cut down here. Now let's see what these boys are going to do. I don't see anybody coming up here yet. I just see a bunch of lights. But I'm pretty far from that Area 51. I'd take about another 8-9 minutes here. And it's hard to calculate it right now trying to talk to you. I'm trailing an antenna out here about 30 feet so I can keep this phone conversation. If we get cut off, then but I'm going to go up here and see what's going on. They say there's a bunch of UFOs and there's all kind of things.
UFOs.
I want to get this baby right down here about 1,000 feet. And we're going to see if there's any UFOs or anything out here, what's going on.
Listen, I think you're making a mistake.
Well, sir, I might be, but, our tax dollars pay for all this. And these boys, they've been hiding everything under all this black projects and all this great funding and all this kind of thing.
Sir, hold it. Don't you think that we have a right to national security secrets?
I think we have, not really, because they have these K-11 and K-15 satellites up there, and the rest, they know what we're doing, and the Chinese, they I tell you what, I want to get down here and squirm like a little frog just stepped on my big dog when I get down here. In a few minutes here, I'll tell you that. Because I'm not going to. Hey, looks like there's a F-16 coming up here.
I wouldn't be surprised. You're making a mistake.
There's somebody down there. He's got some afterburners on, so I can see him. He's about 5 miles out. That old boy is drinking. Yes, sir. And I see something opening up here on the ground. It's I'm pretty low now. I'm starting to think of all kind of buildings down here. I see something here level with the ground. They're opening this thing up. There looks like something's coming up out of that. I can't tell you what it is. It must be on some kind of a. Hold on here. I gotta make this turn.
All right.
I think this little boy's gonna head up here for me.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, he's gonna be up here right directly because he's in the F-16. Sure as hell. He's coming to hold on here.
I would advise you to turn your. I would advise you to turn on your radio.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. We can do this now. Come on. Hold on, this old boy's coming up here. Now he's got his lights. He's got his lights on and he's flashing me.
Yeah, he's probably.
Well, I'm looking at him. No radio. No radio. No radio. He don't know that.
Well, if I were you, I'd turn it on.
Folks are listening to Art Bell because everybody listens to Art Bell.
Well, maybe if you're making.
I gotta get there.
You're making a bad calculation because if they're not listening, you're going to be shot down.
I don't know what he's going to do here. He's rocking his wings at me right now. He's rocking his wings and he's cutting in front of me. And you know this. Oh, don't cut in front of me now. Because if he cuts that close, stay off. Stay off. He can use the vortex from his engine. I'm cutting with the engine. We're going to, just like twin tornadoes, if he puts too close, stay off, bro. Hold on there. I'm getting down on the deck. I'm going in. I'm getting down there. He ain't going to get me. I'm that damn veteran. He ain't going to get me there. They didn't get me over there. They're not going to get me over there now. Looks like some kind of radar gun coming up out of that elevator, that left area over there that the doors opened up. It's got some kind of a weird-looking barrel on it, like a light. And, oh, hell, they're doing something. They're shooting at me now. Oh, God. So, baby, I'm going in. I think we're going in.
I don't know what to say about that, Carl.
I'm not sure what we just heard.
Right. Do you want to party?
I'm always shopping the Real Real. They drop over 10,000 new arrivals every day.
Shut up. Who cares about ugly ass clothes?
Travis, welcome to Third Phase Moon. Thanks for having us over here in Arizona. We're in the location, or close to the location where it all went down. And, there's a lot of people out there that are really fascinated by your story. You're world famous in regards to this phenomenon. But we're going to get into some other things that people might not know about you, Travis. And first off, people want to know what happened prior to this. Were you a believer in UFOs?
No, I never believed in UFOs. I hate Hannibal. You little bitch.
This is one of the scariest stories that I've ever heard. It was sent to me 2 years ago by somebody named in California in 2010. We had both lived there our whole lives, but decided to move to Maine a couple of years after we started dating. She had flown to Maine on a business trip in 2012 and fell in love with everything about it. The small towns, the scene. Video game or something, just kind of bide some time. And you get that feeling that somebody's walking up behind you, like you can hear the floor kind of squeak, and turn around and there's nobody there. Oh. So this would happen off and on. It wasn't, it's just kind of like, okay, just my imagination running rapid never really put anything together. So a little bit later, then we started hearing the little girl laughter. This is a couple of months of being there. Most of the time when I heard it, I would be upstairs in the bathroom, and it was like right outside the door, but nobody be there at the house. It only happened when nobody was there.
Do you have a little girl?
I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son.
No, really little girls.
No, this is, younger than what they would be, and it's just like little laughter, like he was playing with a friend.
Just outside your door?
Right outside the bathroom door, yeah.
Audible, loud, just like you would hear it if there was a little girl. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
My kids were right there in the house.
Alrighty.
I'd be the only one in there.
Right.
And then, like, Sherry would see shadows move all the time in the house. Like, oh, there it goes, it was in the front room, but I wouldn't see it. Well, then I started, after a while, catching out of the corner of my eye, seeing something move. Sometimes times in the bathroom upstairs, there was a mirror on the back wall. And if you had the medicine cabinet open, you could see right to the hallway when I was shaving. Right. This one particular day, I'm in there shaving, and I go from my room into my son's room.
See what go?
Something black, 4 feet in height. You know, like a kid or something like that.
Small.
Yeah. So right after that, my son comes running up the stairs. I say, hey, Brandon, is there somebody with you? And he's like, no, by myself. I'm like, okay. This must be seeing things again, So this kind of keeps going on. And then it was kind of odd because that first summer there in the house is real drab. I mean, it's, really old. It's not insulated. Well, it's, 90 degrees out in the summertime. And when we come home from work, you'd have to go around and open up all the doors to let the heat in because it was so cold in the house that you'd have to wear a coat.
Right.
And it's like, there's something not right. Sherry kept bringing that up. And I'm like, no, we got the shade of the trees, Skip basically try to make reason out of anything.
Yeah, the brain struggles.
Yes. Yeah. So this went along, and then her went through that winter, and there was just some more activity going on, and then her son come to live with us. He was moving out of state, come up, and the first night that he was there, we were talking about what he's been doing and what's going on, and so we went up to bed, and he slept downstairs in the front room on the couch. I don't know, what time was it? About probably 11:30, like that. Sherry gets woke up by my son's radio in his room blasting. I was like, why did he set his alarm? Get up. So she gets up, goes walking in there, and it's just blasting loud. She's shaking him, trying to wake him up, and he won't wake up. And the radio, which he normally has like on all these but goodies stuff, is saying over and over again, time to kill, which just freaks her out.
Time to kill?
Yes. So she rips the cord out of the wall, turning the radio off, walks out of the room, and there's Greg just sitting at the top of the stairs, just white as a ghost, looking at her. And he goes, I am not sleeping down there by myself. Can I sleep in your room? Because something has just pinned me on the couch.
Ken, hold on. We're here at the bottom of the hour. There's more to this. He was the last caller last night. You didn't get to hear all of this tonight. You are. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM. I'm going to go to Ken. Ken, if I had encountered a radio blaring out time to kill my child's room, hey, that would be when I'd pack up and haul butt. And that's what some people on Fast Blast are saying here. It would be time to go.
That's one of the things that we have been discussing between ourselves and what was going on, because something would happen like that, yes, or something else, and it seemed like within 15 to 20 minutes time that it was like you never even knew it happened. Like it was some type of control, manipulation, whatever it was, or the power that this thing had.
Now, by that, do you mean you didn't remember the event, or do you mean the event just didn't seem?
It would just seem like everything just went passive on it. Like there was really nothing going on. It was in the back.
Okay.
It was like something would push everything to the back of your mind.
Okay.
I mean, even the stuff that happened to Sherry, that she would be traumatized, and it was within 2 or 3 hours, we were back to doing our normal daily routine.
Yeah, I guess that's really the way life is. I've had a lot of traumatic events in my life, and they do pass, and, life does go on, as the old saying goes. And so, yeah, I understand. Okay.
And, time and time again, we talked about getting out of there, but it just, it would, we'd make up excuses about stuff or something, or, it didn't seem so bad. Yeah, or Sherry would try to leave, like, that's it, I've got to get out of here. And I would talk to her, and she would end up staying.
Right.
And it wasn't until after we were out of there that we were
able to really start putting the pieces together.
Well, after this business with the radio, what then? How bad did it get? I mean, last night you mentioned that Sherry was physically attacked by something.
She was. Actually, the first time was just prior to Greg's attack. It was just before he came. It was like a week earlier. And so I kind of screwed up on my timeline there. But and she was attacked, and we just thought that, well, we won't say nothing to him.
She was attacked how?
She was sleeping in the bed upstairs and was awoke out of the sleep being pinned with her face against laying on her stomach, with her face stuffed into the pillow and just being pushed into the bed. You know, she couldn't even, she was able to get her head turned around and there was nobody there. She was just being held down, and it was like...
By a completely unseen force of some kind.
Exactly. Couldn't see it, but could feel it.
All right. Now, Ken, it's not that I doubt what you're saying.
Right.
But if you would be willing to put Sherry on for a moment, this might be a time when she should describe what happened to her.
Okay.
She's willing.
Here she is.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Sherry.
Hi.
Thank you, first of all, for coming on. I really appreciate it. Ken was just beginning to tell me about being pinned down or something in bed, and I thought I ought to hear this from you.
Yes. Yeah, I was sleeping, and I just woke up to my face being shoved into the pillow. My body was totally paralyzed. I couldn't move. And it was a terrific amount of weight that was laying on top of me.
And did it feel like a body? Or not a front weight, but a body?
A body. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I had other occasions where it would just come in and just touch my leg. And you could actually see the comforter indent with you couldn't see anything there, but you could feel it and you could see the comforter move. And at times it would tuck you in just like you were a child. Not hurt you, just tuck your comforter all the way around you. It was terrifying. And it got to, after that happened, I refused to go to bed by myself. I refused to go to any room but the kitchen. I just sat in the kitchen for almost 2 years straight.
Oh, my God. This went on for 2
years. Mm-hmm.
For 2 years?
2 years.
Is it over now?
No. I hope it is. We're Christians, and we've been going to church, and we've had people praying for us, and we moved into this house, which it's a brand new home, and nobody's lived here. And our first night here by ourselves, I was just rolling over to put my arm around Ken, and this horrible laugh, like it was in a tunnel, but it was right up above us, and it was
so,
really...
whatever this is, it has followed you.
It sure seems like it.
So it's not even over now. It may be there now.
It could be. I haven't felt anything.
Have you had physical marks, bruises from
I've had a bite on my back, in the middle of my back from it.
A bite on your back?
Mm-hmm.
Teeth marks?
Teeth marks. It took 6 weeks for it to heal.
Oh my God! How did this happen?
I was just up in the bedroom, and it was just, ow, You
mean just, you were standing, laying down in bed?
I was standing in the bedroom, and it was just just pain in my back, and so I went downstairs and had Ken lift my shirt up to look at my back, and there it was.
And there's a bite mark.
Mm-hmm.
It takes 6 weeks to heal?
It took 6 weeks, and he kept putting peroxide, and it was quite something.
I asked Ken, and I'll ask you too, and maybe you'll have the same answer, but after going into your son's room and hearing a radio blaring, time to kill, most people would be so out of there, Sherry.
Oh, I've tried. I was so terrified. I was so scared. And yet there's some kind of a power that took over. And Ken was such a skeptic, even though he was hearing the things that were happening. He said, well, nothing happens when you're with me.
I I take it you were not as much of a skeptic.
I was not. Well, I'd never had anything like this ever happen to me before. And I didn't know what it was, but I really believed that I knew I wasn't crazy and I knew this stuff was really happening to me.
What about your children?
Well, we kept it quiet. They're very young and we didn't want to frighten them, but we asked questions to make sure that nothing was hurting them.
So they really weren't being affected. Oh, okay, so they weren't being affected particularly.
No, but my children, my oldest one's 26 and my youngest one is 22, and they both had incidents with it too.
Oh.
And
She talks for it.
22-year-old is the one that came into our room and slept on the floor that night that he was pinned. But he had absolutely no clue because I never mentioned this to him at all until that night when he was attacked and we told him what had been happening.
Well, it sounds like sometimes it was, you say it tucked you in, for example.
Yeah.
So that almost seems benign. That almost seems friendly.
Well, as the story goes, I thought there was just one thing there. But after the end of the story, you'll hear that there might have been several more.
Okay, but everything Ken's been telling us is basically the way you remember it too.
Oh, yeah.
And even down to the point where after these things would occur, like the radio and the rest of it,
we stayed.
It would sort of fade from your mind in a way that lessened the importance of what had just happened, in some way causing you to stay.
No, I would have anxiety, and I didn't want to go back to the house. I tried to stay away. We bike riders, and we.
So it didn't fade as much for you.
Yeah, it didn't fade as much for me. I was terrified.
Wait, do you have any sense, any idea of why you thought the kitchen was a safe place?
I didn't have the feeling of, any other room, it was just like it could just go up your spine. You could just feel it like breathing on you. And
all of that was not present in the kitchen.
And it wasn't in the kitchen.
So you spent a lot of time in the kitchen.
I spent 2 years. I wouldn't go watch TV even. I couldn't sit in the living room at all, which would aggravate the family. But I was that uncomfortable. I could not sit in any room but the kitchen. And then I would stay up and wait until Ken would go to bed at night because I would not go up and sleep in that bedroom by myself.
God, that's like some kind of prison.
It was.
For you.
It was a prison to me. It was really horrible.
Okay, well, I may ask you to come back. I don't know, but I wanted to hear your words, and I just have. You can remember as plainly as day that radio blaring out.
I can remember everything just as if I'm standing there. Yep, everything is very clear.
Okay, let me talk once again to Ken, if I could, please.
Okay.
Hello? Hi, Ken. Howdy. Okay, so I guess we haven't even heard it all yet?
No. There's more.
Okay.
So, oh, great, the phone's going to start going. Yeah, go up and get the other phone. Let's see, where are we? After Craig had been pinned, there was a time he went out one night. We were setting up and was talking in bed. We heard the door downstairs shut. We heard girl laughter, and we thought, oh, Greg's home. Brought some friends with him. So she gets up. Sherry goes downstairs, comes running back up there. There's nobody there, which there was nobody there. He never came home that night. And there's just little things like that kept going on until he had a girlfriend move in with him, and Jamie started encountering.
It sounds like you're getting ready to change telephones here or something.
Yes, I am.
All right, well, that's not a problem. Here's your wife almost not willing to come out of the kitchen. How were you handling that? Hello? Yes, hi.
Hold on a second. Let me turn this volume up. There's one on it. Where's it at?
Okay, you're on
Great. Are you there?
Yes. Uh-huh. I'm here.
Trying to get this volume on this phone to...
Can you hear me?
Can you hold on for just a second?
Sure. Sounds like we are having technical difficulties.
I got a phone problem.
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh, great.
I'm hearing you all right. And
there we go.
by the way, you need to turn the radio off in the background if you can.
Okay, she's downstairs with the other phone. She must have just hung it up.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. Now,
here we go.
What I asked you, I'm going to ask you again now, Ken.
Okay.
You've got a girlfriend who is spending almost every day for 2 years in her kitchen.
Right.
How did you handle that?
Very difficultly. I sat in there with her most of the time and stuff. It was like we knew that we needed to move, but we didn't have the funds available to. We were just getting by at the time.
Right. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a mechanic.
You're a mechanic. And does your girlfriend also work?
She was laid off at the time. So,
okay. So she was home all the time.
Right. But she would try to stake on, during the daytime if I wasn't there.
But yes, I understand. As a skeptic, what did you think was going on? I mean, did you think that she was having problems, or had you seen enough of this so you knew she wasn't having problems? It's just that y'all had a problem.
Well, that's kind of it. It was like,
you don't have to answer any of these. I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. How you reacted.
Right. Well, I started getting really frustrated about it. Is how I ended up reacting, which is it's kind of weird because since we've gotten out of there and we've been sitting there talking about it, it's like, I knew what was going on, but something wasn't letting me deal with it the way that I should have. It was like there was whatever it is that's there, it has an agenda. It's got a point, something that it wants to happen.
Did you ever get an idea of what you think that was?
I don't know. We've talked to a few people. There's one guy in particular that I've really done a lot of talking with, that he's done a lot of ghost research and on property. Anyway, he does a lot of research on the history of a place where it's haunted.
Right.
And he'll get the history all the way back to the original landowners.
Right.
And try to find out what's happened on that property.
So what do you know about that house?
That's the thing. We've been having a little problem trying to find. Yeah, I need to get a hold of Historical Society to get the original facts stuff of what's going on.
Right.
But I did find out that there was a family that lived in the house 20 years earlier that in the middle of the night left and never came back. Left everything behind. Food, clothes, toys, everything. Furniture.
They just left?
I'm about to pull a Terminator marathon, starting with the
left.
Strong hint there, Ken.
So we didn't know.
Terminator marathon.
We didn't find that out until after we were out.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's like, whoa, we start, because I'm really trying to research this stuff and talking to people and come to find out that there's several houses in the area there that have hauntings all the time.
As a skeptic, when
I'm sure
your wife pulled up her blouse or whatever and you saw a bite mark on her back, how'd you react to that?
It was like, how in the hell did that get there, I mean, I knew she didn't have it earlier, so it's kind of like...
In other words, at what point did your skepticism fall away to, I suppose, terror?
That would be the morning that I seen
it. This dark, small, whatever.
Yes. It's a week's time as this built up into this chaotic frenzy of us bailing in a very rapid fashion.
When you left the house, right?
Right.
Okay, so it got suddenly much worse.
It did. Greg and Jamie had moved out, and that was the point where it started getting worse. They moved over to Eastern Oregon, and they're over there now.
Okay.
And after he had left, the activity started picking up. So this one friend of ours, she come over and had like some ideas on how to get rid of, the ghost in the house or whatever it was.
Right.
And was trying that, and it's like Sherry's going, she's pissing it off. She's really making this thing agitated. And
what was she doing? Religious sorts of things?
We had done it. We had anointed the house. We, prayed in every room. We commanded it by the name of Jesus Christ and God to vacate the premises, and rebuked it. And whatever it was wasn't going to leave. And we found out later that some things take a whole congregation of people to get rid of. But
so what began to happen in the last week?
Okay, so she had come over here a few times trying to get rid of this thing. Then
ticking it off.
Anyway, Fury
You can hear something in the background and the white noise. It's people talking.
So to humor them, I went out and dug a hole. And a friend of mine, he's search and rescue. And I worked with him for years doing search and rescue.
Wait a minute. You dug a hole?
I dug a hole.
They said there's something strange by it. Did they conclude beneath it? And is that how you started digging? Or did you decide to dig?
This is the thing here is the house is built on a knoll, and we found out that the place that was across the way was intended to be a mortuary. So that leads me to believe that in the pioneer days, they used knolls as like family burial sites.
Ken, what did you think you were digging for?
I don't know. I was going to dig a hole to appease them so that I could get some rest. This is 9 o'clock at night, the dark of the light. I'm out there digging this hole. And I'll tell you what, I'll call my friend up, have him come over with his dog that he uses for finding buried people or drowning victims.
Yes.
And if it hits on the hole, then we've got something. If it doesn't, okay, So we go to bed that night, get up in the morning. Sherry was working at that time. She left just before I got up. I got up, come downstairs, and I'm pouring a cup of coffee and look out the window, and the hole's filled in.
What?
Yeah, the hole's filled in.
How much of a hole had you dug?
I dug it like it's 2.5 feet around by 3 feet deep.
That's a big hole.
Yeah, and it's filled back in. And so I called her. She called me on her lunch break and asked her if she filled a hole in, and she said no. And I talked to Wendy, and Wendy said no. And I was like, okay, if nobody filled a hole in, how to get filled in? So then that was like a Thursday night. Yeah. Harry was going to come over on Friday, couldn't make it until the following day on Saturday. So he came over with his dog, which the dog did an alert out by the tree, but it was a real mild one, but it wasn't in the same spot. It was about 3 feet away.
From where you had to...
Right, from where I had dug. It did it.
Ken, hold on. We're at the top of the hour. Just stay right where you are. Oh, this is one for the books. One from Oregon. Ken and Sherry. I'm Art Bell. This is Coast to Coast AM. Ken, we're down to the last week, the last straw, I suppose, in a way, huh? Last straw, the last
couple of days there, anyway.
Was absolutely the last straw. All right, what happened?
Okay, so Saturday, I had my friend Harry come over with his dog and work the property, and it hit on that one spot by the tree.
Right.
Well, we went and put him in the truck and walked through the house, and Harry's got a digital camera, and he took some shots and stuff like that, see if anything happened to come up.
Right.
But he goes, well, tell you what, he goes, why don't we take her down to the basement, see what happens down there.
Take the dog?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So you go down in this basement, and when you go down these stairs, and you turn right at the bottom, and it opens up. It's an unfinished basement. It's all dirt floor. But somebody put like plywood up on the right side that goes down and angles over, making a room, like an old storage room or something.
Right.
And he opened up the door to that and went in there with the dog, and that dog literally turned inside out. It did not want anything to do with that room.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen dogs react doing death alerts, and this was like a major one.
Death alert.
Yeah, that's what it's called. And the dog, we took it out, went upstairs, and it took like a week for his dog to calm down from that. He said the last time he seen the dog like that was when he had it in Turkey at the earthquake.
Did either one of you go back?
No. And because I've seen my buddy, I've never seen him scared. And we've been in a lot of predicaments, search and rescue and stuff, and I know him really well, and he had the look of terror on his face.
That was enough for you.
That was enough for me. So, we went up and we talked for a while. We were going to get together that Saturday night and go out, get away from the house, try and calm ourselves down. My kids were at my folks' for the weekend. And so we ended up going out that evening. And when we came back, I ran down to the store. Sherry goes, well, run down to the store. Can we need to real quick? I got something I got to do. And I come back up. She's in the basement.
She's in the basement?
She's in the basement in that room with a shovel and a flashlight going, I'm going to get you.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. That was my thought. So I come down there and she just freaks and goes running out of there. So we talk about this stuff and, I go, you can't do this, I mean.
You had told her about the room and the dog and all the rest of it.
She was there.
She was there. So she knew about all this.
Right, exactly.
So she knew something was in that room or under.
Right, or something's, been there for some time, or that's where the power or whatever it is there that's coming from, or, I don't know. But whatever it is, it's bad. It's pure evil. It's death.
So you find her with a shovel in her hand saying she's going to get it.
Yeah.
Ken, so then what?
Well, we go upstairs and we're talking. And it's like, I'm trying to get a level head view of this thing, and it's like, oh my God, I mean, we got to do something about this. She says, we have to do something because somebody is going to get seriously injured or killed, is what she says. And it's like, okay, so we go to bed that night. Now, the next morning is when this happens. Well, actually, right after that is when I got upset after we had this talk, and I go, that's it. I go, all right, whatever you are, show yourself. I'm tired of this. We're going at it, and I really got upset. I was walking through the house ranting and raving that I wanted to see whatever it is, show yourself now. Nothing, so we go to bed, get up in the morning, take a shower, go back into the bedroom there. I got the stereo in the room playing. Threw my sweats on and my slippers and t-shirt. We're going to go downstairs and we hear this, what I said last night, this thump. I mean, heavy. I can go up and down the the stairs. I weigh 180 pounds and I don't even come close to making the sound that this thing was making. And I look at her and it's like, who's in the house? And so I turn and I look out the window because our driveway comes up and wraps around, and there's no cars there or nothing. And the dog's laying by the end of the bed on the floor, and I look at the dog, and the dog's head is just starting to turn sideways as it's looking through the doorway, at what's coming up. And she barks at everything.
And there's something big coming up.
There's something coming up, and she's not saying a word, just her head's just turning. And so I step over, and Sherry steps over, and here it comes. The stair, whatever it is, it's pure black, as black can be. I mean, I've got a black snap-on jacket, and it was as black as that.
What kind of shape? Shaped like a human again, small?
No, this is big. This is like 6'2".
Oh.
Bigger than me. I'm 5'8.5", and I'm looking up at this thing, and it's got this enormous head, and then this body. But you can't see like arms or legs, but you can make out the shape of this enormous head that comes down, and then this body comes out from it that goes down to the floor, but doesn't touch the floor.
Oh my God!
And it's like its head's tipped down, like it's looking at the floor where it's going, and it gets up like the stairs in, and and you got to where the platform goes all the way around that you walk on, and it just starts rotating towards me as it rotates to the right, and I'm standing there looking at this thing.
Not on feet though, just rotating
just rotating
in the air.
Yeah. And I'm I'm looking at the dog, and the dog's looking at it, and it's like, dog's saying like, well, screw me, and Sherry just drops to her knees, and I just, there's just the thought going through my mind is, if this thing looks up, I'm done. I'm dead. This thing is coming. Has an agenda. It is right now. It is decided that it is going to do some damage, and it starts coming towards us. And it's just like, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Alien, where there's a part in the film where it comes at the one girl on the spaceship, and it's just like in slow motion. As it comes to her, she's just freaked out. That's the way this thing was coming, like there was nothing I could do, and it was going to have me. And as it came towards me, it got just about to the door, and it just turned to the right and was a blur, gone, blink. And she just screams out, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "Hell yes, that's fine. Did you see the size of the head on this thing?" And I run to the door, and I look out.
I was attacked by a shadow person. It was bigger than the rock.
There's no light in the hallway.
It was defined too. I seen the head, I seen everything. But it was blacker than black.
But it
Like
sounds like when your wife was downstairs,
darker than night, darker than any type of black you can imagine seeing.
Yeah, that's. Do you think that could be right?
I very well think that could be right. And whatever is there does not want to be disturbed.
I wouldn't disturb it for anything. But one more time, if you don't mind, may I speak to Sherry?
Sure.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Hello.
Hi, Sherry.
Hello.
Hi.
Everything he said
I know
so
why
far,
he likes
correct?
talking to girls, because girls are more believable
Sherry,
than guys when it comes to
could
girls.
you tell me what took you down to that room with a shovel in your hand? Can you remember what went through your head to get there?
Yes, I was so fed up with all the stress of it. I just wanted it to be gone. And I believe that
she has to spend her life 2 years in the fucking
probably
kitchen.
buried down there because of the way the dog acted.
Right.
This dog is like 99% on. And
so you were fed up.
I was fed up. I wanted
fed up
release
and
from
sure.
it. And I didn't care what it took to get rid of
fed
it.
up and sure about it.
I was going to dig it up. The only thing is that there's concrete under that gravel, and the shovel wouldn't go through it.
So you were trying when Ken came down.
Yes. Mhm.
Wow.
But he said unfinished dirt
wow.
basement, and there's concrete underneath it. So
Ken just described
that
came
means
up
something's
steps.
under there.
That's exactly what I saw. We've drawn pictures of it, and that's exactly what we saw. And it was so unusual. I was so happy because it's shown itself to me before, but it's never shown it to two people at the same time.
So it was a relief to you that he finally saw it.
He was no longer a skeptic.
All right. I sort of wanted to understand what was going through your mind that took you down there with a shovel. That's pretty radical stuff.
Oh, I know. That if you'd been through all that, you would have probably done the same thing.
All right. I agree. Thanks for talking to me, Sherry, and put Ken on one last time.
Okay.
Well, okay. So at this point, now you've both seen this thing. Your skepticism obviously is long gone.
Oh yeah, that already made it out of the house.
So at what point did you two say, "That's it"? That must have been the point.
Well, this is anyway. So that was later. Well, actually, the next day, or later that night. That was it. Because I look out there and there was nothing there, and I turn around and she's backpedaling towards the windows,
right?
Trying to find some security, get her back up against something, and I, run in there and I grab her, come on, and I look out the door and it's clear still, and it's like, come on, Chewy, and down the stairs we went, and we ran out of the house. So we're standing out there in the driveway, just trembling, shaking, and I'm like, oh, my wallet, my keys, they're on the dresser in the bedroom. Great. That means I got to go back in the house. But, so we just kind of hung out there for a little bit and went back in. And normal. It was like nothing going on.
There were photographs taken, and you've got a photograph of some kind of creature, don't you?
Stop scaring me, Miss Kitty.
There's several on the picture.
Several.
Yes, there's there's several that look like monsters, and then there's a couple that look like demons, and a human-looking guy that's looking over, looks like a tombstone.
A tombstone. In order to get me these photographs, you don't have a scanner.
now
I
you're
don't
gonna
here at home.
lay
No,
on
I
my
have to go
belly
to.
So you could go to a friend's and get these scanned and send them to me.
Yes, I could.
You're the hell out of that house now. Although you may not be done with this thing, or it with you, I guess.
Right. We've had some episodes since we've left there.
Do you want an investigation? Do you want some sort of? It sounds to me like some sort of college or a paranormal investigation team should be in that house, or maybe not, maybe with you, but certainly somebody should go look at that little storage area in the dirt basement.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You know, since we left the house, it kind of made it to where the landlord's kind of back in control. You know, and he doesn't really believe us.
He doesn't.
You know, I was gonna say that if they were renting or not, that could have been the landlord that came and checked on the property and been like,
And still,
"Who the fuck's what's he digging this hole for?" Oh hell no! It could have been the landlord that filled it in.
there now.
No. Right now,
You know, if it's your property and then you're renting it,
and I have to go there tomorrow. I still have a 2-car garage.
You dig what I mean?
You could
probably, it could have been the landlord that filled it in.
And a couple cars to move, because we left the house 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and we're just now getting to the end of getting stuff from there. That's how bad it was.
My God.
To go back there, that night after we'd seen it, and I took the photos that night because there was just this ball activity of like little plasma balls and stuff going through the house.
Right.
And we went to bed that night, and the activity moved from downstairs up to our room. And Sherry was asleep at like 11:30, and I laid there till 3:30 watching this stuff. And I gotta go to sleep. And I'm looking, it's like, almost 4 o'clock. So I gotta get up and go to work. So I'm laying there on my side, and I close my eyes, and the next thing I know, the comforter is just sucked around me, and I'm rolled over flat on my back like I'm in a mummy bag. You know, one of them zip-up sleeping bags you can't hardly move in.
Right.
And I don't know what it is because I can't see it. It's on top of me, and it's pushing all the air out of my lungs. I mean, to where I can't breathe, and I'm struggling, and I say Sherry's name, and like, Sherry, as hard as I can, trying to get her name out. And, you know, I'm trying to look at her, and she opens up her eyes, and she looks, and I said her name again, and she kind of looks at me like, what? You know, and I was able to say it one more time, and she sat up, and then she quit.
This thing was trying to kill you.
That's what I think. I felt like it was like partially into my body. It was pushing me down in the mattress. I mean, I was being pushed into the mattress. And like it was trying to suffocate me or kill me. Right there, she would have woke up in the morning and thought I died in my sleep.
So, in your opinion,
she's laying on my chest, but I think I see I'm sitting with something past her, and she's actually closer than ever. She's starting to lick the shit out of me.
To the people who are going to next rent it and warning them?
I very well probably will. You know, we've discussed this, that could end us in some type of lawsuit or something like that. But you're right. To have somebody go through what we went through, I don't want to see that, because whatever is there is evil.
How convinced are you that whatever it is may have followed you and be with you now?
Because when we moved from there to the other house we were at, we had several incidents that happened there, and then it managed to calm down, and we got the house that we're in now, and we had been moving stuff in here. My kids were staying the night at their friend's house over by the old place, and we were here alone. The first night alone in the house. Here she was laying there in bed, and she like literally jumped on top of me. You know, she goes, "I'm scared," and I hear this, this echoing, like kind of in a dimension, but not the one that we're in, like in a tunnel. You know, like if somebody off in the distance, going from the bed out the doorway of the bedroom. And I just thought, like, bastard, you know, here's this evil laugh, like, I found you.
Yeah.
You know, guess what? But that's the last thing that's happened here. It's really odd. Yeah, we've been going to church every week, and
this is one last question I want to ask. Okay. And again, you don't have to answer it, but have either one of you considered the possibility that whatever this is coming from one of you?
we were thinking about that, but neither one of us ever had any experiences like this until being in that house. Ever.
Have you talked to any other media about this?
No, I have not. Other than the one guy that wrote 4 books, and he gave me a lot of really good information that's really helped to protect us.
But you haven't done any other interviews until now?
No.
Okay. What I want to do is stay in touch with you and Sherry, and I want to know how this comes out. All right?
Yes, I would be happy to let you know how it comes out.
I hope well, and I wish you both well.
I'll get those pictures back to you. You can study those for a while.
And put them on the website with your permission.
I'll discuss that.
All right?
Yeah, we'll discuss that. He wants money. You could tell by the way he was saying to like, and I don't blame him, seeing how they're probably broken. He's the only one that works, and he's a mechanic and shit, and they're paying. You gotta think he's gotta always be in that aspect.
Something just touched my leg. Is there anything down on my leg? Holy. I mean, it came up like this. We are at the Monroe house. We're getting ready to go inside. It's been 6 years. Been inside. This right here is the basement. The last time Rocky and I were down here.
Man, I so don't get that. When I was in a break, I called one of the lines myself, and I was hearing the show. I don't get it.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. How could it be some lines?
Developed years later on, maybe this thing was some sort of a guardian.
Yeah, really sounded like a guardian to me. Deep shining red eyes and dive bombing at you and chasing where you're driving. Well, man, I so don't get that. When I was in.
I hope that was it. Well, it's right for you, but there's a lot of ways that we make
deals.
hacks.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I mean, it really, even though you didn't specifically make the deal with God in that situation, not. About 50 yards out now, I could see a solid gray figure of monk. Hood drawn over his head, rope tied around his waist, hands folded into his sleeves as he floated on his course toward us.
Now, if you look over here, it looks like a woman's face, apparently with the lips.
The more details it could be
And over here is the face down there, and then there's a face that pops out through in the middle of that.
I could see the shadow of a face under the hood, his knees bending under his robe with each step he took across the grass. Well, as the morning came, I dropped.
Yes, me and Roger, and Brendan and Jenny, and we adopted Barry along the way, probably into it about 2-3 years.
Okay. No matter what we ever do, we're not going to get a good phone connection. It's not bad, Barb, but here's what I'll ask. Stay right up on the phone, okay?
You got it.
Right into the phone. That'll really help us. are recorded at various locations, ranging from what to what, Barb?
Well, we have done, you know, you know,
consider yourself lucky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Any activity at all after that?
Yeah. This is what the good part of it is. Fast forward 6 or 7 months, the new pal starts hanging with us. Hanging at my buddy's house again. You know, what happened in the past is just a memory. And then one day, our new buddy says to my friend whose house it was, I didn't know you had a little brother. He's an adorable little brother. You know? I mean, yeah, you do. He was just, you know, peeking at me and waving from the top of the steps.
Yeah.
He's like, well, we thought, you know, and the kid, you know, we thought maybe he was joking around with us. You know, he never heard anything about the story. He was new to town, but his family was very like from the area. So every time we would be at the house, one friend of ours would be the only one to see this kid. Well, one day, the kid's father comes to pick him up and says, you know, guys, want to hear a funny story? My great-grandparents used to live here. They actually lost a child when he was about 2 years old. So it was the one friend who was seeing this entity's relative, great-uncle or whatever it may be.
You know, when we do these Voices of the Dead, this GIS stuff, we get a lot of children's voices. Extremely disturbing. I really thank you for the story. That's, I don't know what to think about that, but it's a great ghost story. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Take care. Let's go back to Barbara. Hey, Barbara.
Those were great.
Those were pretty good.
Says, I don't know if I want to live. The other one says, I don't know how I'm going to live.
So I guess first choice would be, I don't know if I'm going to live. Here we go. Donnie and Sedek.
Your parents, you know, they're telling you about this guy. You've heard of Satanism. If you find it intriguing, then, you know, we have the website, churchofsatan.com. It's a portal.
It's either love or hate, Blanche.
Yeah, I can see that. People have that reaction to the Satanic Bible. You know, Anton LaVey said that people will pick up his book and they'll read it and they'll either say, my God, I felt this way all my life, but I didn't know what to call myself. I guess I'm a Satanist. That's exactly the way I feel. Or they, you know, throw the book across the room in disgust. You know, it's one way or the other. And that's fine. That's great. That's the way it should be.
All right, so then why not call yourself a humanist and avoid all of this, you know, everything?
Because that wouldn't be it wouldn't be addressing the essential problem that Satanism, calling it Satanism, represents. You know, Satanism isn't just atheistic; it's anti-theistic, and it's not just a matter of, oh well, okay, so that works for them. Okay, that's fine, but it's not fine. People who are running our country, that are running our world, all around the world, most of them are basing their lives on irrationality and muddled thinking and scapegoating. And these people are leading us in certain directions, economically, socially, ecologically. And it's going to affect you. One way or another, it's going to affect you. And so Satanists, by nature, choose active opposition. You need something constructive for your life, not just a denial of something like atheism.
Choose active opposition. So is it called Satanism only to choose having that opposition?
I think it's to recognize that humans, I see Satan as a quintessentially human metaphor. He's the risk taker. He's the underdog. He's the one who triumphs, even though he's vilified. He's the solitary romantic figure, and it's a human. It's humans, not Jesus hanging on the cross and being nice to everybody. It's we've fallen from grace, both of us, Satan and humans have fallen from grace because of our self-determination and our pride. And instead of sniveling and whining, we stumble forward by our own wit and our resourcefulness, and we create whatever life we can with the people that we love and cherish.
Are there sins in Satan?
Yes, there are actually. Strange you should ask that.
How about
came up with it.
Okay, how about commandments? Got commandments?
Yes, our 9 satanic statements written and published in the Satanic Bible are our codifying statements.
Codifying.
I would say.
You really sound like a lawyer.
You know what the final ninth satanic statement is? I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm listening.
Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he's kept it in business all these years.
Yeah, well, there is that, isn't there? It is the ultimate threat that keeps everybody in line.
Yeah, exactly. And why do you have to have a loving God that strong arms people into doing good?
Well, God, I mean, historically, has a temper.
Well, but
He's struck people
you're a
down.
kid.
He destroyed
You're a
cities.
kid, and you're getting shoveled this stuff from your parents. They're telling you about this guy. Where does he live? I don't know. He lives in a cloud somewhere. We've got the space station up there, but they can't see him. Well, he lives more over that way. I don't know what he looks like. And kids are smart. They start asking questions pretty early on, and they understand when someone's avoiding truth. And when they start feeling that mommy and daddy are not telling them the truth about this, then they start calling into question everything that mommy and daddy tells them.
Well, you are right. If you ask the wrong questions, even in Sunday school, you risk ejection.
Right. But how do you feel about mommy and daddy lying to you?
Well, I don't think I blame mommy and daddy, or that I would say they're lying, because they probably carry that belief that they're passing on.
Well, I don't see how any child can get past that. That's when the trouble comes. That's when you reach adolescence and you start realizing that maybe a lot of what you've been taught is not true. And all of those sacred values, maybe they're not real. And when you link ethics to the supernatural, that God tells you to do this, not because it's right or wrong, not because essentially it's good for civilization for you to make these decisions, but because some supernatural guy with a long white beard is strong arming you and threatening you if you don't do right, then that's not good for society. That's not a good structure. That's not a good foundation. It should be, because this is what is right for the world. This is how we bind together as a human race.
If the world were to suddenly embrace Satan, do you think that there would be far less violence, killing, and we're seeing so much? For example, people walk into movie theaters and just begin shooting and then take their own life.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. Do you think that Satanism would calm some of this down?
I would hope that people of a satanic mind would be more would understand the necessity of getting along with their fellow human animals. I wake up in the morning and I say, I will not kill someone today because I don't want to be killed. I can tolerate a lot.
You have to remind yourself not to do that?
I do, yes. But really, I mean, I think if the world
Listen
was
to her laugh.
filled with Satanists, which is never ever going to happen, because again,
That's a
talking about
sick
different parts
old
of the brain,
bitch
we
right
always
there.
have to have the 2%
Psycho
who are the
chick,
leaders or
man.
the innovators or the risk takers, and the rest of the people that really would rather just get along and not think about things very much. Just tell me what to do, tell me where to go, tell me what to buy, and I'll be comfortable, and you tell me what to do. And that, but the Satanists who stand out, the creative people, the eccentric people, the weirdos, I think that they would be better at running things, because they would hopefully have actual discussions, not ad hominem attacks. They would start talking about things, not pigeonholing themselves and saying, well, I'm a conservative, so I have to vote this way, or I'm a liberal, so I have to vote that way. And that's a bad person over there. The Koch brothers are awful or evil, or the unions are awful or evil because they're in the other camp, and I don't have to listen to anything they have to say. I just have to listen to what my party tells me to do. And that's how we've gotten into the trouble that we have.
All right.
Is because people aren't voting. They aren't voting the issues or the man. They're voting according to their party
All right,
affiliation.
hold it right there. We're at a break. I'm Art Bell. This is Midnight. Enjoy.
Oh.
She is now the chairmistress of the Council of Nine. Blanche, welcome back. I would like to, if you don't mind, circle back. We sort of went right over it. What are some satanic sins?
Satanic sins. The first one, you will not be surprised to know. The first one is stupidity. That's the top of the list. Because humans are, as I say, tend to be very short-sighted and selfish creatures. I'm all for selfishness, but when you are so short-sighted that you don't see the consequences of what you're doing and the long-term consequences to the earth and to other humans and to animals, then that's just being stupid. And
a lot of those sinners.
Yeah. And the second one is pretentiousness, empty posturing. It's very irritating. And Anton LaVey always had the idea that if you're a satanic priest, you should be able to take the garbage out. You have to be able to come up with the goods ultimately. And he, that's what made his philosophy so strong. What makes his philosophy so strong? Because he was a very genuine person. Whenever he would start, when he'd have someone come over, a lot of times they'd want to talk about Satanism. He didn't want to talk about Satanism all the time. He'd want to talk about old movies or cars or guns or music or characters. And people were not disappointed because he was a wonderful raconteur and a fabulous musician. So if you were treated to an evening of music with him, you'd walk away very happily. But he would say these things, and when he sounded a little bit pompous or pontifical, or as he perceived himself to be taking himself too seriously, he'd undercut it with a joke. He had a whole repertoire of jokes. And that was one of the books that I wish he had been able to put together before he passed away, was a book of satanic parables, which would have been all of his favorite jokes.
Okay. While we're on that subject, and I want more sins, but while we're on the subject, it now has been 50 years since the Church of Satan began, and 20 years since Anton died in 97. So an obvious question is, how's the church doing without Anton?
Well, that's a very good question, actually, because we would have no way of knowing. He was the founder. He was the progenitor. Was this just a personality cult, or did he create a philosophy with legs that actually can stand on its own and lead people to greater interesting achievements and interesting things? And I think the answer is that we're doing great. We've got more members all the time. We've got more adherents all the time. We're being productive. We're getting things moving and shaking in the world. He was a very strong leader.
Do you proselytize? I mean, obviously you are doing that in a sense tonight. But I'm inviting that. But you don't knock on doors and hand out pamphlets. So how does the word get around?
Well, it's it's the tradition of the left-hand path is that you have to seek it out. It is a singular path, and it's a dangerous path. And so there are a lot of imitators out there. There are potholes along the road. But if you're drawn to Satanism and you like the metaphors and you like what you've heard of Satanism, if you find it intriguing, then we have the website churchofsatan.com. It's a portal for all the activities that a lot of Satanists are doing right now around the world, and it's got a lot of materials on there for what Satanism is and isn't.
You said it was a dangerous path.
It is a dangerous path.
Why?
Yes, it is. Because it's a singular path, and it will lead you into.
Yes.
It will lead you as close as you can get to madness. What I mean by that is, if you are inculcated with Satan is evil, Satanists are evil all your life, and you step into that world and you're not ready for it, then your very fear will act against you. You will conjure forth, because the whole idea is that we're conjuring things, we're focusing our energy on what we want to achieve. But you can undercut yourself. You can actually hurt yourself. And if you're feeling guilty or you're feeling afraid, or if there's any residual ill feelings, and this is purely psychological, this isn't magical, this is psychological. When someone is doing something that deep down inside they're conflicted about, you can manifest it physically with pain, aches, headaches, stomach upset, and drawing all kinds of terrible things into your life. So it's not for everybody. As I say, it's a particular vibration that people find brings them joy, happiness, and inspiration. But if you don't find that from Satanism, run away, and run away fast.
You know what a Ouija board is, right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think a Ouija board per se is dangerous, but I had a very, very bad experience with one that I will not discuss and never have publicly. I think that it is the intent of the users of that board that brings about some of the bad experiences that people have had. What do you think?
I'd say you're definitely on the right track with that. I would also say that, as I was trying to explain, if you have any residual doubts or fears or guilt, that's a good medium for those things to open up to you and start attacking you. But again, not from something outside. You're conjuring it for yourself.
Well, now be careful. Yes, perhaps you are conjuring, but you at the same time admit there is something outside.
I admit that we create conduits for our own achievements and creating our own goals as we move through life magically. Yes.
All right. Some more sin. Not too stupidity, pretension.
The third is solipsism. That means expecting everybody else to be like you are. You're a moral person, an ethical person. You have certain values. You're vulnerable to somebody that comes along and tries to steal your money because he doesn't have the same values, but he might give you a wonderful line to try to convince you to part with your goods. So you have to be on guard. That's the essence of solipsism. You have to be constantly vigilant and look through illusions that people are trying to, it's very Machiavellian.
Good advice, though. Anything else that will catch our attention?
Oh, let's see. Self-deceit, herd conformity, and the last one is lack of aesthetics. That's just a terrible sin.
Lack of aesthetics.
Yes.
Meaning?
That's right. Well, it's part of lesser magic, really. It's a way of applying aesthetics, and again, it does evoke a certain magic.
The night in the desert spent. Two callers from outside was at Canada. You Skype with a headset might be on a computer and call MITV 55. That's MITV 55. It is. I'm Art Bell. And with me tonight is Blanche Barton, and it is evoking many comments, that's for sure. Blanche was the high priestess of the Church of Satan. She is the chairmistress of the Council of Nine, and we have been discussing Satanism. It may well be that your view of Satanism, or what you thought when you is not what you hear, right? You may be surprised pleasantly, or you may be scared. It's hard to say. I think there's a lot of both out there, frankly. Blanche, have you ever regretted being Satan?
Not one moment. I've enjoyed every minute of it. You know, and that's an interesting thing talking about 50 years of the Church of Satan. And one of the questions is, does it act as a religion should? Does it help you guide your life to prosperity and happiness? Does it help you work within a community? Is it just, you know, put on black clothes, listen to heavy metal music, Marilyn Manson, and piss off your parents or something? Or is it something that can actually lead you through getting a job, going to school, having children, raising children, deaths, births? Yes, it does, and it's a foundation for a lot of people who have been lifelong Satanists now. And the most gratifying thing that happens to me sometimes now, and I'm humbled by it, is when people come up to me and they say, you know, Miss Barton, I've read your books. I was a teenager. I was being rebellious. I went to Satanism, and I found out what it really was, and it really changed my life. And now I'm a successful attorney, or, you know, video producer, or, you know, whatever they're doing with their lives, but they've made a life for themselves. They're married, they're not married, they have children, you know, they're happy. And that's very gratifying.
All right. Are you ready to talk public?
Oh, absolutely, anytime.
Be an interesting experience. All right. On Skype is Matt. Hello, Matt. You're on the air with Blanche Barton. Okay, back away from your mic. Wow.
Is that better?
A little better, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Art, I have to say, tonight's show is very controversial. Makes for excellent radio.
Well, and look, I'm not afraid of anything. I'll talk about anything interesting. Clearly is so.
All right. Blanche, first of all, I'd like to say I greatly admire your conviction. Obviously, it requires a lot of bravery and a tough skin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Matt.
Well, there are two topics I'd like to bring into the conversation. Number one, a little thought experiment. Hypothetically, if there was an evil cosmic entity, not necessarily the devil per se, but let's say in the very nature of the cosmos, there is a being that is pure evil. Would it not be the best way for it to gain followers and supporters, do its will, to convince its supporters that what they're doing is actually for themselves? If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, and you're not the first person that has presented that idea, you know, that the devil is ultimately, you know, the liar, so you can't believe anything he says. But again, I use it as a metaphor for life. I use it as a representative of liberty. And if there was an absolute evil entity, and you could bring me proof that there was such an evil entity that was somehow fogging my mind, then that would be a very valuable thing to do. But maybe this creature that you're talking about, you know, it could be God just the same. You know, it could be someone like God who's got these people under his control, and these humans are giving me all this energy, and I make them worship me, and it doesn't matter to them. I've got it worked so that there's this other guy that I blame all the bad stuff on, and if they worship me and they give me energy, then I get stronger. And you know, it doesn't matter if I kill lots of kids or make people hate each other or kill lots of animals, they'll still love me. So, you know, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but you know, it's a thought experiment that doesn't go very far for me.
Okay, that's fair. And you also you expressed that you admired cultural and industrial trail, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, you might know that many businesses, like for example, Apple, in California, they're practicing mindfulness and meditation, which is principles of Eastern religions, belief systems that promote separation from ego. Now, it seems that your beliefs are sort of contrast to that. That it's self worship and I guess reinforcement of ego. What exactly,
A lot of
like,
attachment going on here.
A lot of attachment going on.
Oh, well, there are, there is evidence that meditation and mindfulness can increase productivity. And what are your, do you believe in karma? Do you believe in reincarnation? Is there even possibility of such?
That's a lot. Karma, I would suspect so, but let's ask. Karma?
Well, I hope that there are consequences. I think that the way we perceive it is you're asking for the consequences that you get out of life. You conjure forth what you get. So yeah, there are definitely consequences for the actions that you take. As far as getting back to your idea about meditation and consciousness, yes, definitely strengthening your own mind, strengthening your body, being able to use yoga and strengthening the energies that flow through us. I personally am a great follower of that, and I think a lot of Satanists are. That we're bioelectrical beings, and if we can concentrate that, again, that's what magic is about. Is concentrating our energies, aligning ourselves with our true core, and being able to release and bring in energy from around us and release it appropriately.
Okay. Well, if so, as I'm listening to the interview, you think there is something to karma, but if there isn't, there is a spell that'll take care of it, right?
Yeah, we take care of that.
Yeah, all right.
We're sort of the cleanup team.
You also asked about reincarnation.
I have, again, my mind is open to reincarnation, quite frankly.
Really?
Because personally, I have had some interesting experiences along those lines. Like you with the Ouija board, I don't need to go into them. But my mind is open to a lot of things. Like Liz Carroll said, I try to believe 3 unbelievable things before breakfast.
Wow, your mind is open to reincarnation. That's a path unto itself. All right, here's something Donnie says. Donnie and Sideli, ask your guest about Anton LaVey's deathbed confession and accepting Jesus Christ on his deathbed. It's all over YouTube and the internet. So if the Church of Satan, if this is true, the Church of Satan is bunk.
Well, there you go. I am here to tell you that I was present in those final moments. And there was no deathbed confession. There was no hallelujah. I see it all now. There was no, oh my God, please forgive me. He had become more determined and more committed to his philosophy as he got older because he saw the way that the world was going. And he knew that he needed to be a voice for that.
Okay.
So,
Terry, somewhere out there, you're on the air with Blanche. Where are you?
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you. Where are you?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
No, you're on the wrong line. That's our international line, my friend.
I did. Right.
Right. I'm very sorry. You'll have to give us a call at MIT 51. MIT 51 for North America. You are on 55. Let's try Lewis on North American Skype. Hello, Lewis.
My questions are not just the fact is the Church of Satan recognized by the federal government for back exemption? And I'm curious if they're convicted of a crime in prison, they get any special treatment. And finally, would she call herself a witch? I missed that if she said so. Those are my questions.
That's a lot of questions. Hold on. Don't go away. Sure. Let's get answered.
Okay, the first question, yes, we are recognized as a religious entity by the United States government. We're included in the Chaplain's Guide to Military, to chaplains servicing military people, and that's updated periodically. However, we do not take advantage of our tax exempt status because one of our premises, vital premises, is that all churches should be taxed appropriately like any other business. So as an ethical point, we do pay taxes. The second question was,
in some sense, probably answered by the first. That is, if necessary, if you were put in jail, for example, you would get special treatment in terms of accommodating your practice. It sounds like if you're in the first, you're probably in the second. I don't know.
we do have prisoners who contact us who say they're having trouble getting materials, and they do try to provide. It depends on the chaplain at the particular prison and the administrators of the particular prison. Some of them are very open. They should have the right to practice Satanism. At least get together with fellow Satanists and have their materials and perhaps rituals within the confines of the requirements of prison. You know, they can't have daggers and they can't have firearms and they can't have candles or certain things. But, you know, just getting together to read the Satanic Bible, usually most prisons are very accommodating. And yes, I would call myself a witch. I do.
Well, thank you for answering my questions. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Right, sure. Thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate it. We have so many. Let's go to way back west Virginia.
In jail.
Hello.
Yes.
You're on the air, sir.
Art, you know, we've been talking about a lot of positive things about Satanism, but let's talk about satanic ritual abuse for a second.
Okay, let's.
In the 80s especially, there was a lot of cases, you know, the government-related daycares and the military bases daycares. There was a lot of children that came out there with STDs. And we were talking about the military, and, you know, while we're talking about Satanism, while we're talking about the military, let's bring up, you know.
Well, all right, let's deal with one at a time, right? Satanic ritual abuse of children. That was addressed earlier, but Blanche, go ahead.
Yes, the McMartin preschool case, I believe one of the cases that he's referring to, was one of the most expensive and perhaps to date still the most expensive and extensive court case in California history. A lot of accusations were thrown around, including that the kids were moved during the rituals, that there were that some of them said they'd been put naked into a cage with a lion, and Chuck Norris was identified as one of their molesters. They said that they had their faces smeared with feces and blood and urine, and that they'd seen babies cooked and eaten. And backhoes were brought in, heavy machinery was brought in. All of this was supposed to have taken place in tunnels beneath the preschool by the people that were running the preschool. No tunnels were found, no lions were found. The most damning evidence that was found was toy rabbit ears and a candle. And I know that there was a lot of hysteria, but there were a lot of people going on shows to get attention. But it was
I remember this, sir, don't you? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. But, you know, then I want to go deeper than that. Let's go deeper. There's, you know, I'll studied law into occultism. There is power. And, you know, even going back to, you know, that's why anal sex, anal wing.
All right, there is power in what? There is power in what?
There's power in the blood, the blood of children, the blood of ritual human sacrifice.
Let's find out. All right. Sure, hold on. Let's find out. Thank you, Paul. That's a pretty key point, I think, to address. He's saying there is power in abuse or in sacrifices or in... What about it, Blanche? Is there anything to it?
Well, this, again, was addressed quite keenly in the Satanic Bible. And I think it was a reaction to what Anton LaVey found with practitioners, or at least legends about practitioners of magic up until that point. And he was disgusted by the idea that someone would take an innocent animal. Even Aleister Crowley talked about animal sacrifice, and that someone would take an innocent animal and shed its blood to try to get some kind of power from that animal, when the truth of the matter is it's a substitute for a good orgasm. If you can't go into the ritual chamber and have a good orgasm, work yourself up into a real frenzy and let go of all that energy, let go of all your inhibition, and become a real human being in the ritual chamber, you have no business trying to perform magic at all.
Okay, straight on. So that was all ridiculous.
Well, it was proven by the FBI to be ridiculous. A lot of people, a lot of police, cops for Christ is what they were termed, who had these seminars that they were selling to various police forces around the country to try to gain money from them. There were also a lot of counselors, religious or otherwise, that were getting a lot of money. And there were the talk show people who needed eccentric people to go on their shows and make a good controversial story. So everyone was gaining, except the real Satanists, who would try to go on these shows to get another word in edgewise. They didn't give me the kind of time that you've been kind enough to give me, Mr. Bell. When we would get on, if we would even get on to tell what Satanism was really about, we'd get maybe 2 sentences, and the rest of the show would all be about baby breeders or a lot of insanity. So we didn't fit the paradigm. And then they tried to, as a defense for that, they said, well, they didn't want to get sued by us. So they'd say, well, we're not talking about you. We're talking about bad Satans. We're talking about traditional Satans. So they tried to make it into categories. And Anton LaVey said, no, there are Satanists, and then there are nuts. Just like there are Christians, and then there are nuts. You can use the Easter Bunny, you can use Jesus, you can use Buddha to justify whatever crimes you want, but that doesn't mean that you're actually following that religious philosophy.
All right, very quickly, Leonard on Skype. You're on the air with Blanche.
Yeah, I called to disagree with Blanche. She said that God makes you do what He wants, or do His will. No, God gives you freedom of choice. You can't make your own choice. God doesn't force you to do what He wants you to do.
Well, He threatens you.
No,
He threatens you with eternal damnation and a fiery pit if you don't follow the rules, right?
He doesn't.
Oh, He doesn't.
Actually, he does.
I've heard the wrong stories then.
Satan is the one that makes you do things that makes you do things.
So in other words, anything you do that's bad, you can just sort of slough that off on Satan.
And that's the problem with scapegoating. That's the essence of what we're trying to get across here, is that when you scapegoat people, like some people are doing in the Middle East right now, then you can go do whatever you want to them, and they don't deserve your empathy, they don't deserve your sympathy, because they are unclean, and they are demonic, and they are possessed, and they are evil. So you can hurt them, and you can demonize them, and you can scapegoat them, and do whatever you want to them, because they are the others. That's very dangerous thinking. It's not an us versus them. I'm a human being, you're a human being, Leonard, and we all have foibles, we all have faults, we all have strengths, and we have to get together to find out how to solve problems.
All right, good. Hold it right there. We'll be right back. I'm Art Bell. This is Midnight in the
Well, obviously that person is a little special that just called me.
Speed of light. Listen very quickly. Let me give the numbers, even though everything's full. The public number is 952-225-5278. 952-225-5278. The Skype doorways are in North America, Canada, MITD 51. MITD 51. Outside of North America, MITD 55. That's MITD 55. Blanche Barton is my guest, and She was rather, the high priestess of the Church of Satan and is the chair mistress of the Council of Nine. Welcome back. A couple of computer messages for you. Dan says she dodged the question. It was about harming children, not animals. Blanche?
Again, it's addressed in the Satanic Bible very clearly, and I think I've said earlier in this interview that we value children as our guides. They're the closest to their natural state. They haven't been inculcated with adults' guilts and all the things that children are saddled with from a very early age in contemporary society. I love to interact with children, and we would not harm any children, and as that's very clearly stated in the Satanic Bible.
All right, thank you for that clarification. Calvin asks or says, "Hi, Art. Your guest is very well spoken and charming. Would you like to comment on the Church of Satan trying to sue the state of Oklahoma to put up a statue in the Capitol? It seemed to me to be an attack on Christianity."
That is not the Church of Satan. That is an unaffiliated small group that we consider rather laughable. They came off as sort of street performers. You know, they're trying to put some kind of wedge between. They're trying to create controversy regarding the church and state. Like, if they try to put this statue in, then that'll force other people out of the public square. The true satanic posture, as articulated very well by our high priest, is that we believe in the founding fathers' vision of separation of church and state, not having any Buddhist or Hindu or satanic or Wiccan or Christian association, because it's very dangerous when church and state are working concert. You know, then you've got the civil aspects and you've got the magical aspects of the boogeymen that are going to hurt you if you don't do right. And our founding fathers were as close as they could be to deists. Most of the ones who were the real movers and shakers, Thomas Jefferson and Paine, they were deists, and they didn't believe in a God having real effect in your life. Of course, in those days you had to posture toward Christianity a lot, but they were free thinkers. I think that America is a quintessentially satanic country. You know, we grew right out of the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment, and people like James Madison, John Adams. That's a whole different conversation. But
nevertheless, the founding fathers saw the danger of mixing and wrote it out.
Precise.
Okay, Terry, somewhere or another, you're on the air with Lance Barton.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And I wanted to say it's an honor to talk to both of you.
Thank you.
I became a member of the Church of Satan in the early 1990s. You know, I was brought up going to Southern Baptist Church and youth groups. And they pounded, the Satanic Bible, the ultimate evil book, and all this. So eventually I read the Satanic Bible, and it was like just cold water, thrown in your face. It was like, it's just reason and logic and open-mindedness when it comes into the areas of supernatural and magic. And so that's kind of what my take was. I became a member. I knew they were going to pound down my door and have me go to meetings and all this, just out of respect for the logic that was put down and give, to where I saw my ideals.
Nobody pounded down your door.
I have two questions real quick. One for the Blanche. Are you familiar with the studies on the pineal gland in the human brain, like essentially the third eye, and like DMT, the release of DMT, and how that kind of, I believe, goes into magic and all that. And then also in your personal magical experiences, do you, like for me, sometimes, I feel real strong, and then it's like I feel weak sometimes in magical nature, and I don't think it's like I'm physically sick or I'm going through emotional stress, just like those waves of power and energy. Like, have you had that experience? That's all.
All right. Number 2 first, and then we'll get DMT. Blanche?
Yes, things do come in waves. I think the wave has been proven to be essential to the earth in general. There's a waxing and a waning that humans are also aligned with, and within your own magical practice, it's very probable that some days, and again, this has been measured scientifically. Some days you feel alert and on top of things and right on top of your game, and then other days you just feel sort of dissipated and not really concentrating. So yes, and I have heard about the pineal gland and how that's it's a known chakra in there, a very powerful one. So there have been a lot of people throughout the millennia who have talked about the third eye and its importance to magic and meditation.
Okay. Drugs and savings. You mentioned DMT. There are many who feel that drugs open the mind in a way, and surely they do. What do you think? What does the church think?
I can only refer back again to Anton LaVey. Of course, he started the Church of Satan in the 60s in San Francisco.
She smokes a
1966,
big fat blunt.
Summer of Love. There
I
were
can't
people
talk
dumping
about
acid
it
all
in
over
front
the
of
place,
me.
and there were people that were pointing to acid as a method, a gateway to wonderful enlightenment and concentration and new worlds and new achievements. And he had a hard and fast rule that he did not allow people that were drunk or high in the ritual chamber. Because things could be very misconstrued, people could become violent, they could become distracted and distracting, and he felt that that was not the way to perform magic. That you need to be concentrated, you need to be clear on your intent and what you're doing in the ritual chamber. So I suppose there are plenty of people that use recreational drugs, but again, if you're doing it illegally, then you have to suffer the consequences if you get caught. And if we know about it, then you'll probably get kicked out of the organization.
All right. Let's go to Calgary, Alberta. On the phone. Hello. Going. Wait. Hey, that's right. Calgary, Alberta.
Hello?
Hello, yes. Hi, you're on me.
Hi, this is Nick from Calgary. I know you're probably super tired of fielding questions about satanic ritual abuse, but I have one from kind of a weird angle. That's okay?
Let's hear it.
Okay, in the wake of the death of Jimmy Savile, this British TV presenter and entertainer, it's come out that in Britain, at least, there actually was a massive pedophile conspiracy in the 1980s and late 70s, but it wasn't Satanists.
Well, God, heaven knows there's pedophiles all over the world, sir. But
yeah, but it's conservatives, and at this point, the investigation has gone so far as to implicate former prime ministers.
And your point is?
Well, my point is, my question is, how do you respond to, the moral hypocrisy? Because again, these are the same people who wanted to ban gay people from teaching, who wanted to exclude non-Christian religions, from public venues. And at the same time, it's now coming out that this
alleged
bizarre...
Yes. Well, there's hypocrisy all over the world. My goodness.
I just wanted to comment on, the fact that, again, these are, the squarest of the squares. These are...
there's no end to the height of hypocrisy. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, when he started talking about a massive pedophile ring, I thought he was talking about the events in the Catholic Church, and I'm not kidding, because they were moved around and protected, and that was a terrible breach of trust.
That's undeniable, absolutely undeniable. I don't know how the church ultimately is going to deal with it, but
right. But I don't. I mean, I give it a cheap shot. I mean, it was terrible. It was an awful thing, but I don't then equate all of Christianity with pedophiles. These were individuals that unfortunately were protected by a structure that didn't want the embarrassment, and a lot of children suffered abominably because they wanted to protect their structure. But they've had to look at that now, and they've had to own up to it and act appropriately. As for the conservatives, a pedophile ring, I would have to know the specifics. I know they would have to. I don't think that it's associated with Satanism, is it?
No. That isn't what he was saying. And I was saying there's no way. I mean, he's talking about conservatives and then some of them being outed as pedophiles. There is no end to that kind of hypocrisy.
Right.
Let's go to
And
Skype.
of course, we're against hypocrisy. That's one of the reasons that the Church of Satan was founded, because of that hypocrisy.
Helix Angel, is that right on Skype?
Yes, actually, my name is Paula.
Okay.
I'm from Richards, California.
Okay. Well, that's
I
what's
have a
on your
question.
Skype. That's all I can do is call you by what's on Skype.
Okay, thank you. I have a question. Thank you for your enlightening discussion tonight.
Sure.
I'm actually interested in that. And that I do have a question though. Why do you consider? I have a number of friends that are Wiccans, and why do you consider them to not practice magic properly?
Well, if they're practicing magic and they're and it's working for them, my only beef with Wiccans, well, two beefs really, is one, they worship a horned god, and if you're worshiping a horned god, I don't see why you don't just call it Satan. You can call it Pan, you can call it Lucifer, because it's more comfortable for you. But just grow a pair and call it Satan.
I just asked him just because I was talking to one of them at the moment, and it was like, did you just say that? But yeah, thank you.
The other point is that during the Satanic Panic, a lot of Wiccans were asked, well, what about Satanists? What do they do bad things? Or they were attacked. They were thrown into the same boiling pot of water with Satanists in these accusations. And instead of coming forward and saying, yes, I'm a Wiccan, I've read about Satanism, I know Satanists, and they don't do bad things. Instead, a lot of them actually crawled on the bandwagon to protect themselves and said, oh, we're good witches, but those people over there, I don't know what they're doing. So I was front and center to that. That was a long time ago, granted. But there's still an essence of us versus them, good versus evil in there. Whereas I say, don't put yourself in a protective circle. Invite your demons in. Own what you are as a human being, and deal with that.
All right.
Hi, thank you.
All right. You're very welcome. Thank you for calling. Interesting. Going to, I think, Allentown on the phone. Hi.
Hi, it's Johnny from Pennsylvania. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Am I on the air?
Oh, you certainly are.
I apologize. I have one question and a hi, Blanche. I have a question and an example. So the question is, you talk a lot about the human intelligence and how we're the better, smarter animals now. We're the more vicious animals, and the next step of evolution, that's why we're the top of the chain. So the question is, can you conceive of an intelligence greater than man's intelligence that would require man to have faith? And the example that I would use is Abraham from the Bible, who waited 100 years to have his son. And then when he has his son, God tells him, take him up on the mountain and sacrifice him, which seems crazy to us. I mean, I would have a really hard time with that. But then if you look at it 2,000 years later, God allows his own son to be sacrificed for a greater cause. So can you see that that's possible? Not necessarily right or wrong, just that there might be something.
Well, God did request that or order that as a proof of faith, right?
Yeah, it's faith. This is really faith against intelligence. Faith seems irrational, and it's always going to. But that doesn't mean it is. That doesn't mean it's wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I get your point. The first thing I'd like to address is the idea that I feel that humans are top of the food chain and more highly evolved than other animals. I think the point that I was trying to make that Anton LaVey has made with the seventh satanic statement that I read is that because we quote unquote feel that we are so divine and spiritual and intellectual, we have become the most vicious animal of all, meaning that other animals are being the best animals that they are being. They're, humans don't always live up to their potential. They throw a lot of log jams in their own way. They're more afraid of their own success than they are of their own failure. But humans, like a simple spider or a bird, they're out there doing their birdie little things. They're doing the best they possibly can, and they use every resource that they can. They go toward pleasure, they avoid pain, and they do it in the most efficient manner they can, which is what biologists define life as, is, those three elements. And so don't think that I'm saying that humans are so superb and wonderful compared to animals, because I truly don't. But getting to your point with faith, as a Satanist, I feel that faith is the ultimate betrayal of all we are as humans. I understand your point about sort of giving yourself over to a greater power and trusting in that power, but I can't do that. I can't relinquish that. If I do that, if I give up my independence, my discernment, if I give up the ability to question things scientifically and challenge everything, I've given up everything that we've evolved to be over the last, few million years.
And I can certainly understand that, especially now in this day and age, we know so much as humans. We have, and if certain visions of reality can be believed, we have plunged into materialism and are cut off from what we used to be able to see as spirit.
So I'm sorry to do this, caller, but I'm way short on time, and you could respond to that when we get back. But we've got to take a very brief break. So, Blanche. Your conductor, Arshel, will punch your ticket when you call 1-952. Call Art, that's 1-952-225-5278. All right, well, I think we should all have a moment of silence. Tonight's show has got to be pretty serious evidence JC has passed away. If not, certainly would have been here. He's been absent from his Facebook page early, before mid-July, and so just a moment of silence for he who would have been here. He could have. And with that, back to Blanche, partner. And Blanche, I held this caller over because I don't think he was finishing his thought. Caller?
Yeah, I was saying we plunged into materialism. It's very difficult now without prophets and things like that, real prophets to show us what God's really saying, to have any kind of faith, and really all we have left is the light of human reason. Albert Pike talks about it in his Dreamsonic writings as something we don't need to have superstition about or faith, and that's absolutely true. We don't, but it's not, for me, it's not enough. And I guess the real question is, I think the question goes out to everybody. Do you believe in your own intellect, or man's intellect, or do you believe in God, or faith, or whatever you are, Christ, whatever you want to call it? I think there's something greater than man. It's hard for me to imagine that there's not.
Blanche, you want to comment?
Well, I'm a big advocate of materialism, what we can see, what we can feel. the human body, the human brain, our emotions. That I'm a big believer in the sins, and I try to practice at least one a day. Lust and gluttony are two of my favorites. But not to be flippant, I understand. He seems like a very sincere man, Johnny, and I feel that there is a lot of materialism going on in the world as well, and we're sacrificing happiness in a certain way because of it. And recently, I was at a conclave, a gathering in Washington D.C. of Satanists at the end of April, and I gave a little talk. And one of the things, it was a wonderful gathering with terrific people there from many different professions, and it was great to be in a room full of people that you don't have to explain your basic thoughts to, who are all attuned with what we were thinking. But there is a difference between greed and satisfaction, and what we're doing to the earth is a consequence of unbridled greed and not looking down the road to see the consequences of what we're doing. And that is a real problem. But again, that doesn't come from somebody, Satan, or some demons or some God whispering in my ear. That comes from looking around and seeing what's happening to our planet and crying about it. I mean, and wanting to do something about it. So.
All right. Trey in Atlanta, Georgia, I think. Hi.
Hey, Art, how you doing?
Very well. Thank you.
Wanted to first extend our love to Anne Whitley.
Oh, yes. Very sad.
And Blanche, it's an honor to speak with you.
Thank you.
I was curious. I had just watched Devil's Reign that Anton had been in.
Yes.
And I was wondering
Classic.
if you could tell us about his experiences with Ken Anger and Hollywood.
Yes, he had a wonderful relationship with Kenneth Anger. Kenneth Anger was again, in the 60s San Francisco scene very much, and he's an innovative filmmaker. He used techniques that were sort of, I guess, in the psychedelic realm, but they're very effective films, and I know he has a lot of fans to this day. He influenced a lot of small films, and they were very good friends. I think he's sort of drifted away since Dr. LeVay has passed. He's gone in other directions, but yes, they were very good friends for a long time. The Devil's Reign was a wonderful set to work on. Dr. LeVay said he had a wonderful time. William Shatner, John Travolta, the director was a great director. They were in Mexico filming, and he did lots of interviews with people who were interested in his philosophy. And yes, Ida Lupino was also on that cast.
Wow.
And yeah, he made some good friends, and they had a whopping good time.
I would also point out we had just coincidentally watched Paradise Lost, Childhood Murders at Robin Hood Hills tonight.
Mm.
And for all the satanic panic people that still don't get how bad this paranoia was, watch that movie and realize what this madness caused and how it's ruined lives.
A lot of pain, and one element of it also that I didn't bring up is the separation. I mean, it's hard enough for teenage kids to talk to their parents and parents to talk to their kids, but when you've got this film between you of people from your church or people in authority telling you to look for your children, see if they're wearing black clothes, or if they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, or if they have stained glass, or if they're spending too much time alone, they may be dabbling in Satanism, and this may be leading them to criminal activities. How can you possibly communicate with your child when you're burning the records that are giving him strength and inspiration? So it did cause a lot of pain for a lot of people, a lot of wounds there.
Well, thank you both. It's been an honor.
Yeah,
Right.
Thank you, Trey.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. A lot of actually very interesting callers. And I hate to do this, but we're we're coming up on another break, so relax for a few moments. We'll come back and take a final full set of calls. My guest is Blanche Barton. She is high priestess, or was, of the Church of Satan, and is now care mistress of the Council of Nine.
that?
No, I didn't know that.
Eight gobbles up directly.
Oh, I bet. Well, think about it. They're the ones that put all the power lines in order to even get it to where we're going, you know?
Well, they could phone lines in. Power company. Great to hear from you. So when we got to addiction, I heard him stumble spiritually. Now, he may not have laid it out all on us, but apparently there was something there. So yes, we have 4 different lines. The weird addiction line,